Hey guys, it's Slade. It's so good to see you all again. We're going to be going over the most important points that were brought up tonight at the 25th of March town council meeting. This one was a long one, probably the most packed room I've seen in a while, and for good reasons. We have a couple points we gotta go over, so we'll just hop right into it. The first point is that they denied the motion for the 335 apartment unit building. It's 335 apartments, and then they wanted to put commercial, like stores, under those apartments. The average cost of those apartments would be $2,400 a month, which pretty high, pretty insane. We need affordable apartments if we're going to be building apartments. We don't need $2,400 a month apartments. Those don't help us. Those don't do anything for us. Those are just overpriced small houses. That's more than you'd be paying on a monthly mortgage if you just got a house out here. The next motion is set for May 20th, 2025. They're going to reconvene in 2 months to go over it again. It's about the 14 acres of unused land on the south corner of Higley and Warner Road, which is directly across from ALA, which if any of you guys have gone down the street when ALA gets out of school, you have cars backed up all the way to the traffic light, sometimes in the middle of the road because the traffic is that backed up. You go and you add 335 more apartments to an area that, keep in mind, already has 1,200 apartments sitting in it. That's not going to do any good for that traffic issue. That's not going to do any good for the people that live there. Doesn't matter what road you take to get out of there, you're still going to hit traffic. And, if I build a house, I don't want to build it right next to the busiest strip of land possible. I want to have it in a little area, or I guess not a house, but an apartment. I want to have it in a good strip of area where people won't constantly be getting congested every single day of a school year. But that was the first motion. Fortunately, like I said, they denied it. They're going to pull up a new proposal, see what they can do about it, tweak it a little bit, and it will be brought up May 20th, 2025 at their next meeting. And there's another point I'd like to go over, which is the Gilbert Fire Department's order of protection on a 20-year Gilbert firefighter retiree. His name is Josh Reynolds. After he called out the current fire administration for not allowing him to come to retiree breakfasts, also had multiple charges dropped in court. He was asked to be on the 360 podcast in the Valley. That's a big firefighter podcast. And Gilbert Fire Department called them and said that the town of Gilbert would present legal action against them, for lack of better words, if they decide to go along with that. This was after he made a couple comments about how he didn't like how the Gilbert Fire Department was being run. So he didn't like the chief, didn't like their operations going on, and now they're retaliating against him, which, not okay. If I was a firefighter for 20 years, I say one wrong thing about that fire station, and then the order of protection is put on me. They don't allow me at the retiree breakfasts. Pretty messed up. That is total abuse of power. This has not been investigated, and they had no comments to make on it. The council, nor the mayor, had any comments that he made on it, which is unfortunate, but that's, I guess, where we stand with the fire department currently. You can go work for them for 20 years, and then they'll give you a big slap in the face afterwards if you say anything wrong or mean about them. There was another point where a woman came up, I'm going to leave the names out for privacy, to speak about her daughter who had been hurt, and how GPD has done nothing to help her. The boy had the charges dropped by the county prosecutor because of their failures, and some examples of those failures would be the report was dummied down to make it look like a one-time incident. The report also left out info of an order of protection. There were incriminating texts. Reference would be him saying that he had a problem stopping when someone said stop, which were also left out of the report, which pretty good evidence for a court case. there were arguments after he was told no, and they were not reported in the report. Nothing was said about them. This poor lady would tell this man no and argue about it, and they didn't use that as a report. That is him admitting to not stopping when she said no, and it wasn't a one-time incident like they made it sound out to be, so that's unfortunate. My heart goes out to this lady and her daughter. The officer was wrong after not getting fingerprints. There was some stuff left at the scene, and they could have gotten fingerprints for it, but they originally told her, no, we don't need fingerprints. We don't need you to do that. And then the next day, they were talking to our school resource officer, who said they could have immediately called the sergeant down there, and they should have immediately called the sergeant down there and gotten those fingerprints, which, why didn't the first officer do that? Why did he tell them that they shouldn't? He said that they messed up the evidence because they touched it, but those fingerprints could have been 2 days old, 3 days old, who knows? There should have been fingerprints taken immediately. While trying to get info about it, she was told different things by multiple officers. Like, one officer would tell her one thing, then another would tell her another, and then another would tell her another, and they never added up, never the same thing. They didn't know what they were talking about, so they should not have been answering those questions. And attempts were made to charge her for reporting it, but fortunately she was able to get them corrected, and then was denied requests for info on the case by the chief of police. Which, why would people come out and speak about their sexual assault experiences if you do that to them? If every time they come out and they try to say something or talk about it, you go, no, we're not going to let you get that. We're not going to let you get body cam. We're not going to let you get info. It's unfortunate. She called for them to oversee and go through the report, do an internal investigation, and they also had no comment on that either. There was a electric fire truck, because Gilbert Fire Department, again, they're back up in here. They wanted to be a little show off and show everybody how green they're going and how nice everything's going to be. And they bought an electric fire truck that costed them $1.1 million of our money, over what a normal diesel fire truck costs. And in the first year of having it, it broke down 3 times on the way to the scenes, which they had to send other fire trucks. And the example was given, what if it was a 3-year-old drowning and a fire truck gets halfway out there and has to stop and call another fire truck because it breaks down? Which, the guy also said in 20 years of driving a fire truck, he'd only seen it happen once where the truck actually breaks down if it has a diesel engine. So obviously they're unreliable. Not enough studies have been done on them. We don't have enough information on them in general. So we shouldn't just be buying them up and using them, especially not if they break down in 3 years or 3 times in a year. Now you might say, it's 1.1 million, but you'd be saving on gas and work on the truck. No, you save $29,000 a year on the truck. That's it. That's the savings you get for it. Which, if you want to do that math, $1.1 million, it would take 40 years to make up that difference. How long do fire trucks last for? Do we still use 40-year-old fire trucks? No. So why would we go green with it? Why would we start dipping our feet into electric fire trucks if they break down more often? They're less reliable. $29,000 a year cheaper sounds good, but not when you overlay that with the current costs. That was a pretty good point he brought up, and I pretty much agreed with it completely. I don't know why we're doing that. As a community, we need to tell them, no, you can't use our tax dollars and just throw them it's like throwing them in the shredder. Just throwing our money away because it's not theirs and they don't care about it. Spend it like it's their money. They decide to spend it like it's our money or their friend's money or someone's money that they don't care about. We shouldn't be buying these things just to make our town look better, make us a haven for people who are interested in those things. No, if it costs less, it doesn't matter. We should be going with it, especially if it's more reliable. Should be no questions on it. But as you heard about the last point with the Gilbert Fire Department, obviously they have a lot of internal problems going on currently, and may not be my place to speak about them, but they got some things to figure out. The last point, and this one in the room tonight actually brought me to tears. Nick Cordova's widow, mother, and cousin all came up to speak. They packed out that room. I've never seen so many people come to those meetings. Usually you got maybe 15 to 20 people in attendance. There must have been 100 people there tonight. They had these nice, crazy nice shirts with a truck on the back. And they came out to speak about his murder. He was a father of two, and on May 27th, 2020, he was shot while at work on FaceTime with his 8-year-old son and his 5-year-old son. And after 5 years, his killer has still not been caught. Now, they've assigned 4 different detectives to this case, but it's too much work, and GPD is too incompetent to figure it out. Now, you might think, okay, they have photos of the shooter, they have photos of the incident, they have videos of the incident. Can we not just look at the outside camera footage? Maybe the stores next door or the traffic lights on the street? You know, it takes 5 minutes to pull up that information. It takes 5 minutes to get that. Why hasn't it been solved? Why are these poor people waiting 5 years for nothing? Nothing is being done. The chief of police came out to speak about it tonight, and he said, oh, well, we can't give you any information as that could conflict with the court case. Or, you know, when they catch the guy, it can be a conflict of actions that we came out and we spoke about it before knowing all the information. It's been 5 years. How are you lacking that much information after 5 years? You can't even get the guy in. You can't even have him arrested and questioned. You know, it's crazy. We live in a world of technology, and for the first point about the apartments, they were talking about technology taking over our commercial. You know, we're going up 6% every 10 years, and online stores being used instead of actual stores. Well, we have all the technology to catch these people, and we can't. And that's not to mention that, you know, the $21 million over budget GPD went last year in 2024 and didn't report on just doesn't make sense to me. We paid $97 million in 2024 to our police departments, yet they needed extra money for a murder of a teenage boy. Unfortunately, he was murdered in cold blood in Queen Creek, Arizona. He was jumped in the streets and murdered. And they said they needed $2.2 million for overtime pay of that. Where was the overtime pay for Nick? Where were the sleepless nights they were talking about having trying to solve these cases? Or trying to solve that case? Because I haven't heard anything about it. We need to hold them accountable. Because it could be your kid, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister. It could be any of us. And if they treat someone like that, I wouldn't doubt their ability to do it to other people as well. And if we don't hold them accountable for these things, if we don't speak out, if we don't do what these brave women and his cousin did tonight, there will be no justice. We won't get these cases solved, and it's just very unfortunate. Like I said, it was a very emotional speech from all 3 of these people. You know, from their speaking, you can tell that he was an amazing person. He's a hard worker, amazing father. The community wants this case solved. Why isn't it solved? Why are we waiting year after year after year for zero information? I hope and I really pray that they can get it together. That incidents like this don't just get swept under the rug because they're too complicated or they take too much time away from something else. No. You need to solve it. These people deserve justice, and the killer deserves to be in jail. Shouldn't just be out running the street. If you kill again, if he doesn't get caught, there's a lot higher of a chance that he goes out and he kills another person. And if we don't do anything about it, when does it end? After the third, fourth, fifth, sixth person, when does it end? Because it should have already been solved. It is on camera. They have videos of it, store footage of it. We have all this evidence, yet we're not doing anything with it. We haven't solved it yet. My prayers go out to his family. I hope they get the justice that they deserve. And I hope that Gilbert Police Department is held fully accountable for this. Their missteps, their mistakes, their incompetence. For a police department that's so well funded, you would think that we would actually be getting cases solved. But instead, year after year, our crime rate just goes up. The cases get solved less and less. This isn't working. And obviously, we can't just throw more money at this problem or else it would have been solved. Thank you so much for watching. I wanted to go over these points. These are very important. These aren't just important to me. These aren't just important to the people affected. These are important for the community to hear. The part of the community that doesn't have 4 hours to watch their live streams on YouTube or don't have 4 hours to show up and listen to all of these things. The point where we speak is all the way at the end. If you want to go and speak, you have to sit through their entire meeting. It's not right. That should be the first thing we go over. It should be immediate questions from the community because people don't have 4 hours to sit around just waiting. Again, thank you for watching. I will be back next week, Wednesday, the 1st of May, or 1st of April? Yeah, 1st of April, with the next video at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great night, great morning, wherever you're watching this. I'll see you next time.